principal's all A honor roll, or whatever they call it, and then you would put like the range of dates. So like you put like starting your freshman year until your senior year. So you put from like 05 to 08 or whatever the date range is going to be. So that way it kind of shows, okay, so like she was continually that, so they'll have it listed 4 times because that takes up a lot of space. Anyone have any other questions? Okay. References. So there are 2 pages to your resume, and the second page is the references. And it's good to have at least 3. At least 3 looks about good. I guess if you have 2, it just kind of looks it's lacking on the page. So at least 3, it looks good. And then the information you have from your references, their name, their job title, where they work, an address, email address, and a phone number. So those are things that you want to get from that person. And the most important part is asking them before you put them on your resume, because especially for a job, if you give them your resume, they're going to contact your references, and if they don't know that they're supposed to refer you, one, you don't want them to be confused, and be like, oh, I wasn't aware that you were going to be calling me. So make sure, one, you ask people you can put them on your resume, and 2, that you tell them, when you turn a resume into somewhere. And colleges, I don't know, do colleges call your references? I don't think they do. They look more at the recommendation letters, but it's always something good to have on there. And 2, when you're getting recommendation letters, it kind of works to tie them in with references. So, teachers work well for references, employers, things like that. They show, your academic side and how you were in the workplace, and then you get like an extracurricular activity. So things like that. Those are things to think of when you're doing your references. So what do you guys do outside of school that you would use for a reference? Like youth pastures, stuff like that we could do. So you guys do a lot like outside of school that you would ask someone to do your reference? Or anything is like questionable, you don't know if you should use them? Yeah?
Help out the church.
You help out the church? So I don't know, like, if you have like a coordinator that you work for, or if it's just exactly who's like above you, but then like definitely ask them who you work closely with and knows you well for a reference. And then you don't want to use like personal references like family. So family and friends you want to stay away from. So because no one should be giving you a reference, especially if you're living with them. So keep it to your work experience, extracurricular things. Any other questions on the references? Okay.
I think it's a close friend.
Sorry?
Like a close friend. Not like close, but like a adult that's like known me for a while and know how who work and be around for.
Well, I think it's important, especially with the references, is that like when you like work with them, like if you babysat for somebody for a long time, and if they are a family friend, definitely put them on there, because I mean, even if you're a family friend, if you don't do well babysitting, they'll probably find somebody else, but find a good excuse to make sure you don't come back. So it's kind of at your discretion. You want to use people who are going to give you a good reference, but you don't want it to be like if someone asks them, how do you know this person, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm friends with their mom and stuff like that, or or if oh, I am their mom, so something like that. You definitely don't want that to happen. So you want them to be give a good recount on what you've done. Any other questions? Okay. So these next examples are what you should leave off your resume, and these are actually things that people have put on their resume before. So the first thing is the unquantifiable accomplishment. So you're the most common employee my company has ever had. So stuff like that, you can't back that up, and so obviously just leave it off.
Unless the owner says that.
Well then, instead of putting that on your resume, you should put,
the owner as your reference.
Yeah, the owner as a reference, and then hopefully they'll contact them, and they'll talk about your work ethic and stuff like that. The offbeat accomplishment: set record for eating 45 eggs in 2 minutes. I mean, you may have gotten an award for that, but that's obviously not something you want to put on your resume, right? Okay. Okay, the mistake-ridden accomplishment. So I've succeeded in all my endeavors. So especially when you're tying this in with your essays, depending on what you talk about, if you talk about like growing from an experience, or you had a failure but you overcame it, if you're a perfect person, obviously you wouldn't have that. No one's a perfect person. So you don't want to sound like this doesn't sound good. Like I've exceeded in everything I've done. Everybody knows that's not true. So avoid things like that. And then the not so notable accomplishment: overcame procrastination. So the procrastination already puts you down to like, oh, you know, didn't do my work, but I overcame it. So, you know, avoid stuff like that. Any other questions? Okay, so like on those worksheets that I gave you, I know we went through it kind of fast because I ran out of time with the other group, but you can flip those over, and if you have any questions on what you should be doing, like you can jot down ideas or anything, and if you have any questions about any of those headings or what should go into them, you can ask, especially since you guys don't have resumes, you know, what something should go under, and if it even applies to a college resume.